Madam President, senators on both sides acknowledge that the health care bill we're considering is among the most significant pieces of legislation any of us will ever consider. I would argue the most significant piece of legislation, and certainly in my time here. So it stands to reason that we'd devote significant time and attention to it. Indeed, some would argue that we should spend more time and attention on this bill than most, if not every, previous bill we've considered. The majority obviously disagrees. Why? Because this bill has become a political nightmare, a literal political nightmare for them, as evidenced by more and more public opinion polls, including the Wall Street Journal NBC poll out this morning. They know Americans are overwhelmingly opposed to it, so they want to get it over with as quickly as possible. Americans are already outraged at the fact that Democratic leaders took their eyes off the ball, rushing the process on a partisan line that makes the situation even worse. Americans were told that the purpose of reform was to reduce the cost of health care. Instead, Democratic leaders produced a $2.5 trillion, 2,074-page monstrosity that vastly expands government, raises taxes, raises premiums, and wrecks Medicare. And they want to rush this bill through by Christmas? They want to rush this bill through by Christmas that does all of these destructive things. One of the most significant, far-reaching pieces of legislation in U.S. history, and they want to rush it. And here's the most outrageous part. At the end of this rush, they want us to vote on a bill that no one outside the majority leader's conference room has seen yet. No one has seen it. That's right. The final bill we vote on isn't even the one we've had on the floor. It's the deal Democratic leaders have been trying to work out in private. That's what they intend to bring to the floor and force a vote on before Christmas. So this entire process, Madam President, is essentially a charade. But let's just compare the process so far with previous legislation for a little perspective. Here's a snapshot of what we've done and where we stand on this bill. The majority leader intends to bring this debate to a close as early as this weekend, 4 days from now, on this $2.5 trillion mistake. No American who hasn't been invited into the majority leader's conference room knows what will be in the bill. The bill has been pending business of the Senate since last November, less than 4 weeks ago, but we've actually only started the amendment process 2 weeks ago. Just 2 weeks ago on the amendment process. We've had 21 amendments and motions, less than 2 a day. So let's look at how the Senate has dealt with previous legislation, arguably of lesser consequence than this one. No Child Left Behind in 2001. 21 session days, or 7 weeks. 44 roll call votes. 157 amendments offered. The 9/11 Commission Homeland Security Act in 2002. 19 session days over 7 weeks, 20 roll call votes, 30 amendments offered. The energy bill in 2002, 21 session days over 8 weeks, 36 roll call votes, 158 amendments offered. Now, Madam President, this isn't an energy bill. This is an attempt by the majority to take over 1/6 of the U.S. economy, to vastly expand the reach and role of government into the health care decisions of every single American. And they want it to be done after one substantive amendment, one large substantive amendment. This is absolutely inexcusable. I think Senator Snowe put it best on Tuesday. This is what she had to say Tuesday of this week. Given the enormity and the complexity, Senator Snowe said, I don't see anything magical about the Christmas deadline if this bill isn't going to become law until 2014. And I think Senator Snowe's comments on a lack of bipartisanship at the outset of the debate are also right on point. Here's what Senator Snowe said in November of this year, late November. Quote, "I am truly disappointed we are commencing our historic debate on one of the most significant and pressing domestic issues of our time with a process that has forestalled our ability to arrive at a broader agreement on some of the most crucial elements of health care reform. The bottom line is, the most consequential health care legislation in the history of our country and the reordering of $33 trillion in health care spending over the coming decade shouldn't be determined by one-vote margin strategies. Surely we can and must do better." Well, Senator Snowe is entirely correct. The only conceivable justification for rushing this bill is the overwhelming opposition of the American people. Democrats know that the longer Americans see this bill, the less they like it. Here's the latest from Pew. It came out just yesterday. A majority, 58% of those who have heard a lot about the bill oppose it, while only 32% favor it. There is no justification for this blind rush, except a political one. And that's not good enough for the American people. And that's not justification for forcing the Senate to vote on a bill that none of us have seen. Americans already oppose the bill. The process is just as bad. It's completely reckless and completely irresponsible.